In this video, I'll be talking about making your informative presentation clear, interesting, and memorable. To begin with, some strategies for making your informative presentation clear, because you want to make sure your audience understands the message you're trying to get across. To begin with, use simple ideas. Don't have too much information or tons of main points. Realistically, your speech is pretty short. At least 2 main points and no more than 3. And that's because you have to have your introduction, which is about a minute or so to get all that information in. You have to have a conclusion, which is about 45 seconds or so. And then you have to fit the main points in the middle. And if you have too many main points that you're just touching on, then you're not covering them in depth enough. So keep it simple. Less main points that are well covered. And present an even flow of information. We're talking about 2 or 3 main points, again, equally covered. So if you have maybe 3 minutes in the middle of your speech and you have 2 main points, that's about 1.5 minutes for each. So don't spend 30 seconds on one and 2 minutes on the other. Also, associate new information with the information the audience already knows. Studies show that when you build on information that your class already knows or your students already know, then they are more likely to learn the information and remember the information. So adapt your presentation to this audience, and that's what you should always be doing. You adapt it to this audience and know what they know, or at least generally what would this audience know. And this audience is college students. So you're not talking to a group of preschool students. You're not talking to senior citizens here. You're talking to college students. What would they generally know, and how can you build on that information to help the audience to understand what you want them to learn from your presentation? So it's important to present a clear message. You should also make your message interesting. And to make it interesting, first of all, think about your audience. As we've already mentioned, the audience is key at every single step. So their audience, their interest and their needs, and it's them. People are interested in things about themselves. So think about something that impacts this particular audience. Also, when you do your research, get some attention-catching supporting material. Bring out the impressive statistics and stories and information that will really make the audience want to listen. Don't forget to establish a motive for your audience to listen. You have to make sure, again, that you are choosing a topic and choosing information that this audience will be interested in, that they have a reason to pay attention to. You want to create word pictures. And this means that you don't just say something like, it was a winter morning. Because we can picture a lot of different things in the morning of winter. But you might want to say something more like, as they walked down the path, the morning sun peeked through these snow-lined branches of the trees that lined both sides. Something like that. That we can picture a lot better than it was a winter morning. Use interesting visual aids. You do have to use some type of slide or other object for your presentations. Make it interesting. Go back and view those rules and make sure that you're using those rules and you're following the rules for slides, but you're also thinking of, well, how can this be interesting? Make it visually interesting for the audience. We are humans and we are interested in visual things. Your picture should go along with what you're saying. Make sure you have an adequate number. Again, go back to all those rules and make it really fun and interesting for the audience. And then sometimes use of humor is okay. This is not a stand-up routine you're doing here. And if humor is not appropriate for your topic, don't use it. But you can use humor to try and help make your presentation interesting. And then finally, strategies for making your presentation memorable. You want people to remember what you're saying. So build a presentation that is memorable. The first thing is redundancy. And with redundancy, what you're going to do here is repeat information. I don't mean repeat a lot, but you state your main points in the introduction. You go over those main points in the body of the speech, and you restate those main points in the conclusion. Now, when I say state main points, I mean the big ideas, not all the details you go through in each of those points, just the big ideas. And that helps us to follow along, because we're not rereading a paper or something where we can go back and look at things again. And also sometimes it helps to have repeated phrases that the audience catch on to and helps to remember what you're talking about, such as the I have a dream speech. Establish a motive for your audience to listen. Again, how does this relate to them? Let them know. And then reinforce your key ideas both verbally and non-verbally. And that can be with, this is so important. Or if you remember nothing else, remember this. Or by talking louder or quieter and more slowly to kind of let it sink in. So you want to make the information you present memorable. Now I'm going to post these links on the website for this module, and I'd like you to watch the Star Wars speech. This guy needs some help, and I'm going to show you with this speech how I would grade him and why I would grade him in that way so that you have some idea of how you're going to be graded. And then I also have a link here for a really good presentation. Now it's longer than you would be doing, and it's a little bit different style presentation than you would be doing, but her delivery is great, and the way she uses stories is wonderful, and that's what you should be doing in your presentation as well. Thinking again about your topic ideas, they should be novel, meaning some new information or something that's unusual, presenting it in an unusual, interesting way. So it's not rehashing information we already know. Its topic idea is something that is appropriate for this audience, their age, their college students. So what does caffeine do to your body is not particularly interesting because we already have the basics of that. Dog breeds, not particularly interesting. A better idea, if you want to talk about caffeine, it would be something like, everything you know about caffeine is wrong, and then give us new information. So when you're selecting your informative topic, be sure it is a topic that is informing, teaching us about something, not asking us to think a certain way, not asking us to do anything, not including your opinion. It's just facts and information about something. And it is appropriate for a college audience. So how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, not really appropriate for a college audience because we probably already know that. Or why schools, well, anyway, anything about young children or about older adults, not the general population of this particular class, so you don't want to choose those. And make sure the information that you present is new information.